Alright, thanks for joining me. Today I'll be talking about Jaina Solo, specifically the action figure, as you can see in the picture. I recently ordered her off Amazon. She was an Amazon deal of the day. If you've never ordered like this, they'll come with this sticker that lets you know they've been inspected. The reason it's a warehouse deal, I should say, not a deal of the day. The reason these are on sale is because they've been banged up or something. If you're an unopened collector, which I am not, then that's not going to be attractive. But considering I've never actually been able to find this figure in a store, this was something I had to do. So, before I get on to more, I'm going to open the figure and talk about the figure. Or maybe I'll talk about what I'm going to talk about as I'm opening it. You may see in the video that I have the book Star Wars Legacies of the Force, which was a book that now, thanks to the new Disney or Kathleen Kennedy era, has been erased from canon. And this character has been erased. She's been replaced by someone we've all probably heard of named Rey. And I'll get to more of that after I get done talking about this figure. Alright, so before we get into the figure herself, let's talk about what she comes with. She comes with her blaster, very similar to Han Solo's. Probably is the same, although it seems kind of smaller, like thinner. You've got her pilot helmet, which is pretty sweet looking. And her purple lightsaber, which, as you can see in the book cover, is what she was using. Alright, so she's in her pilot outfit. And she's got her head, which I think they did an amazing job of making her look like she could be related to Carrie Fisher and or Harrison Ford. It's a good mix of both. Alright, so yeah, we've got the arms at the shoulder and the elbow and the wrist that can turn around, and it can go up her back, you know, for maximum posing with that lightsaber. Alright, we've got a torso twist, slight, possibly limited because of the pilot gear, but you can still do a good bit with it. We've got the legs, then the hips can be twisted around, knees, ankles can twist, and let's see here. It looks like there's articulation with them, but as with other Hasbro figures, there isn't much give, and I'm not going to fight it, especially since, I mean, unless I pose it and I need her to move a certain way. But yeah, they do. They move. All right, but I don't want to break anything, and I don't think I'll have that problem, but I'm not going to risk it, especially on video. She's got a holster for her blaster, so we'll put that in there so we don't lose it. Let's take a look at her with her helmet on. Oh, wait a minute. She can actually put it on without taking her hair off or something. Alright. Alright, that's pretty cool. And that also will prevent it from getting lost. Alright, and her lightsaber goes in, no problems. And I haven't looked, but I'm guessing the figure is pretty similar to the GameStop TIE Fighter pilot figure, which should be a woman, but I haven't actually opened that one yet. Let me know if you're interested in me doing that. Alright, so on to the other business at hand. And actually, let me do a quick, just in case you didn't get a look at the details. She's pretty cool. Looks similar enough to the movie characters or pilots that we saw, while also looking different enough, in my opinion, to be 20 years after Return of the Jedi or so. Alright, so on to the character. First of all, I highly recommend these books, especially, well, actually for anybody that likes Star Wars. There's a bunch of them. If you've never read them, and you hated The Force Awakens and Last Jedi, then you should read them, because you'll probably see an alternate timeline that is much better, in my opinion. and I think many others informed fans like it more. And if you like The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, or either of them, and you read these, I think you'll be like, wow, the story could have been so much better. In these new movies' defense that we only have 2 movies, and maybe, I think they have some novels out there, but the little I've looked into them don't really flesh out anything. I'm sure they don't allow the writers to delve too far into certain things. I think even when everything's going to be explained as best they could, it's not going to be able to touch the story that was going on in here. There's also some very similar things that were going on in here that are going on in the new ones, just they're not as done as well, in my opinion. First off, you're going to have to read a lot to get to this book if you want to know every little piece about the characters. The storyline, I'm not going to talk about the storyline, but I'm just going to talk about why Jaina Solo is cool. She's similar to Rey, except cool. I still have said, I believe that Rey will turn out to be Jaina Solo, or she basically is Jaina Solo in some ways. I think she's going to turn out to be the daughter of Han and Leia, is what I'm trying to say. This last movie, they told us that, and yeah, there'll be spoilers for The Last Jedi now in case you haven't heard or seen it, so stop watching. They try to tell us that Rey is not the child of, or whoever her parents are don't matter, is what they tell us. I personally think it's all been set up. There's things in there that, I think that's a lie that Kylo told her. I think she's going to turn out to be the younger sister of Kylo, aka Ben Solo, and she will be the child, obviously, of Han and Leia, much like Jaina. If you are not aware who this is her twin brother, Jacen Solo, which she's fighting. Sorry, I don't want to ruin anything, but as you can tell, he's wearing he's using a red lightsaber, so that lets you know where that's going. So, Jaina versus Jacen, very similar to Rey versus Kylo, and in fact, Jacen becomes a Darth, whereas, Ben became Kylo Ren. Also, I think it's interesting in this storyline, by this point, Luke has a wife, and he has a child of his own named Ben Skywalker. So, I kind of feel like when they created The Force Awakens and all this, they knew about that, and they're like, well, we'll take the naming your child after Ben, and give that to, Leia and Han, which I kind of even don't feel like they would name their kid Ben. I get why Luke would name his, because, Obi-Wan / Ben was, like, really influential in his life, throughout his life. Like, he knew about him and all this stuff. Han, I don't even know if Leia actually ever interacted with him, and Han knew him for a few hours and didn't particularly like him. Now, you can make the argument that they got them together, or he got them together, but I still don't buy it. I think it was sloppy, and it was kind of just ripping off this a bit. Not that that's a huge deal, but anyway. So, Jaina Solo is a Force wielder. She's been trained by Luke, and she knows how to use the Force, but she also likes to be a pilot like her father. So she's got like all the cool best of both world things going on. She has a lightsaber, she likes to shoot stuff, and she flies an X-Wing. And she's really good, obviously, of it. And if you look at that, Rey's got a lot of similar things going on with that too, except that they have been very lazy about explaining how she can do all that. Jaina's had a whole lifetime of developing those skills. So, she's gone to Jedi Academy. She's gone to on various missions. By the time you get to this book, she's awesome. But Rey, it's like she was on this desert Tatooine rip-off planet, which I think her parents or somebody had her put on there on purpose because it would hopefully mold her into being more like Luke. Which after you see The Last Jedi, you're like, maybe they wouldn't want that. Anyway, so, and then like Rey learns to scavenge, which is alright, so I can understand maybe she can fight, and she learns how to tinker on vehicles, which maybe I can buy that. but I do not buy that she is an excellent pilot naturally, or that she can use the Force and fight with a lightsaber naturally. If you like those ideas and want to see them done right, I highly recommend reading these books. I'm not exactly sure where Jaina's real story begins. Like, there's some high school, middle school level books about the young Jedi, where her and her brother are growing up. I don't recommend starting there. The best books are the Timothy Zahn trilogy featuring Thrawn, who's now been revived into canon and brought into the Star Wars Rebels cartoon in a different way, but it's the same character. I recommend that. That's where they're born. They're little babies in that. And then I would recommend and I'm probably butchering this, the Yuzon Vong storyline, which I forget how long that is. It's like 9 or something books with spin-off books, or being part of that maybe. There's probably like a few core books you can focus on. I've only read like half of them, and then I actually stopped once I heard that the movies for The Force Awakens were happening and that the books didn't matter. But now I might have to go back, because in my choice is that the books are what happened, not these movies. Once Lucas ceased being the owner or controller, then it's no longer Star Wars now. Like, Disney's not living up to it. That's just my personal opinion. If you love them, fine. That's your opinion. But to me, and Jaina Solo's what happened, not Rey. And then after the Vong storyline, it goes on. There's other books going on involving them, but then the next big one is this, The Legacy of the Force, where if you want, you might just want to skip right to that, because that's where it explains Jason becoming a Sith and Jaina's stuff. Now, you might want to read the Vong ones, because they also have a younger brother named Anakin Solo, and that, The Star by Star, is a book you should read. That was actually the last one I read, and the first few hundred pages were kind of slow, but then it's by Troy Denning as well, I believe. It becomes really good. Like, Anakin's leading a group on like a strike force, and the odds get stacked against them, and like each chapter that goes back to their storyline, things get harder and harder for his group, and I really highly recommend that. But then, yeah, if you're reading this was a fun read. I really would have loved to see these as movies. A lot of great stuff goes down, and it's similar things with Luke, and what Luke does in this are very interesting, because they're sort of used in The Last Jedi, in my opinion. I'm not going to give any more away. If you've read these, I would love to talk to you about them. And if you haven't, and then you decide to read them, I would love to know. But yeah, please, if you've gotten this far and you love Rey, and you're like, because I love Rey, then Jaina Solo, I can't embrace her. Please try to read these. And if you come out of that thinking Jaina is not just as good, if not better than Rey, I would be surprised. Now, like I've said, Jaina's got a lot more story development over years and years worth of books, versus Rey's 2 movies, and maybe she has some books about her, but I don't think so. So it's kind of unfair, but at the same time, you can see where things from this story were taken into this new world. Like, I also think that Han and Leia not working together as a marriage and that falling apart, I think they purposely did that, because in this books they are together. I think they said, look, you know what, we're gonna go in a different direction, and we're not gonna have Luke having a kid or a wife and all this other stuff. Which, part of the old storyline, and you could argue, was that the Jedi should be able to learn to have relationships and have kids. But they seemed like Luke maybe decided that he had to do what the old Jedi had done as well. But I don't know. That's a whole nother thing. Anyway, I'm sorry if I'm rambling. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Definitely check Amazon for their warehouse deals if you are not aware of them. And maybe you don't even know about this figure. I would not wait to find her at Walgreens, Walmart, or wherever, because I really don't think she's going to be there. Even if the store happens to get her in, you're going to have toy hunters that look for her fast. She's really awesome. She looks cool, even if you want to pretend she's somebody else. And there's also a little bit of a story about why she has the purple lightsaber as opposed to like a blue or a green. But I'm not going to ruin that for you. Alright, see ya.